Ladies and gentlemen, cruelty is a double-edged sword. It doesn't just wound the one it's inflicted upon, it cuts deeply into the one who wields it. You see, there's no escaping the psychological toll of inflicting harm on others. The mind, no matter how hardened, is not built to endure the weight of cruelty without breaking under its own strain. Every act of malice, every word spoken in hatred, every opportunity to uplift that was instead used to destroy it leaves a residue, a mark on the soul that cannot be scrubbed clean. People often believe they can act with impunity, that their deeds will remain hidden, or that their power shields them from consequences. But life has a strange way of balancing the scales. The human psyche cannot simply bypass its own morality. It catches up to you in the quiet moments when you're alone, when your defenses are down. And then it whispers, relentlessly, of the things you've done. The cruelty you thought you had buried resurfaces as nightmares, as guilt, as an unbearable need to reconcile the person you've become with the person you could have been. But the haunting doesn't stop there. The cruelty spreads beyond the immediate. It poisons relationships, isolates the perpetrator, and creates a web of mistrust and fear. No one escapes the long arm of justice, whether it's the justice of the world or the justice within your own conscience. Those who harm others don't realize they're also harming themselves bit by bit, day by day. They erode their own humanity. So what is the lesson here? That cruelty is never a show of strength, it's a manifestation of weakness. The strong do not seek to destroy others, they lift them up. The wise understand that every action echoes through the corridors of time, and those echoes return to us in ways we cannot predict. Choose to act with kindness, even when it feels like the harder path. It's not just about sparing others, it's about saving yourself. Those who spread cruelty today will face their reckoning tomorrow. Let that reckoning not be yours. Every action we take ripples through our lives and the lives of those around us, shaping the world in ways we often fail to realize in the moment. Acts of cruelty or kindness, decisions made in haste or with intention, all carry consequences that cannot be undone. When someone chooses to inflict harm, whether through words, actions, or neglect, they are not just impacting their target, they are setting into motion a chain of events that will eventually loop back to them. The idea that actions have no repercussions is a dangerous illusion. In reality, life operates on a principle of balance. What we sow, we will eventually reap, though it might not happen immediately. For the cruel, this often means facing the emotional, psychological, or social fallout of their choices. Relationships crumble, trust erodes, and the isolation they once inflicted on others begins to take hold in their own lives. They may not see the connections at first, but the damage manifests in subtle and undeniable ways. Moreover, the consequences of our actions extend far beyond the immediate. Cruelty has a way of taking root and spreading, influencing others to act in ways they might not have otherwise. It sets a precedent, creates an atmosphere of fear or anger, and leaves wounds that linger long after the initial act. This ripple effect ensures that the harm caused is far greater than the perpetrator could have imagined, and it underscores the profound responsibility we all bear for the choices we make. Ultimately, the world is not blind to what we do, nor is our conscience. When we act without regard for others, we invite a reckoning. It may come in the form of external consequences, lost relationships, missed opportunities, or even public accountability, or it may arise from within, as guilt and regret begin to surface. Either way, there is no true escape from the impact of our actions. Life ensures that the seeds we plant, whether of harm or healing, will grow and bear fruit in due time. It is up to us to decide what kind of legacy we leave behind. The human mind is an extraordinary instrument capable of remarkable feats of logic, creativity, and resilience. But it is also deeply sensitive to the moral weight of our actions. When someone commits acts of cruelty, they may believe they can escape the consequences by simply ignoring or justifying their behavior. However, the mind does not forget, even when we try to force it to. Cruelty carries an invisible burden, one that grows heavier with time. At first, it may seem that the harm inflicted on others has little effect on the perpetrator. They might feel a sense of power or control, a fleeting satisfaction in asserting dominance or causing pain. But beneath the surface, the psyche begins to grapple with the dissonance between one's actions and the innate understanding of what is right. This dissonance doesn't simply fade, it lingers, manifesting in subtle but persistent ways. Guilt often creeps in during the quiet moments. When there are no distractions to drown out the inner voice, the person may try to rationalize their behavior, convincing themselves that the other deserved it or that it was a necessary act. Yet the mind resists these justifications. It replays the memories, revisits the faces of those hurt, and refuses to let the truth be completely buried. What begins as an occasional twinge of discomfort can grow into a gnawing unease, an inability to find peace or joy in life's simplest moments. This psychological burden can take many forms. It may appear as restlessness, as a growing irritability, or as a deep sense of emptiness that no external success or pleasure can fill. For some, it manifests in vivid dreams or recurring nightmares, where the events they thought they had left behind come rushing back to the forefront of their consciousness. Others may develop anxiety, depression, or a constant fear of being exposed, as though the world is watching and waiting for the truth to emerge. Even those who appear outwardly unaffected are often engaged in a quiet battle within. The human mind is not designed to coexist with cruelty without consequence. The burden becomes a weight they carry everywhere, a shadow that follows them into their relationships, their work, and their solitude. And the more they try to suppress it, the more insistent it becomes, demanding acknowledgement, repentance, and change. This inner turmoil is a natural response to actions that violate our moral compass. It serves as both a warning and an opportunity. It warns us of the cost of cruelty, reminding us that we cannot harm others without also harming ourselves. At the same time, it offers a chance for redemption, a chance to confront the burden, to seek forgiveness, and to choose a better path. Ignoring it only allows the burden to grow, while facing it can lead to healing and transformation. The mind will always seek balance, and the only way to ease the psychological weight of cruelty is to align one's actions with truth, empathy, and integrity. Justice is an immutable force woven into the fabric of existence. It may not always be immediate or visible, but it is ever present, waiting for the right moment to assert itself. Every act of cruelty carries with it the seeds of accountability, and no one, no matter how powerful or elusive they may seem, can truly escape its reach. Life has a way of ensuring that every deed finds its consequence, and those who harm others will inevitably face a reckoning. Accountability begins with the undeniable truth that actions create ripples far beyond the moment in which they occur. A cruel word or act may seem fleeting, but its effects linger in the hearts and lives of those impacted. The perpetrator may convince themselves that they are untouchable, that they can outmaneuver the moral laws of the universe, but such thinking is a delusion. The natural order is designed to correct imbalances, and cruelty is a disruption that demands resolution. Sometimes justice comes through external means. Relationships deteriorate, reputations falter, and the social fabric begins to unravel around those who engage in harm. People may distance themselves, opportunities may vanish, and trust may erode, leaving the individual isolated and vulnerable. The world has little tolerance for those who consistently sow discord, and sooner or later they are held to account by the very systems or communities they once believed they could manipulate or exploit. But justice is not merely an external force, it is also deeply internal. The mind and heart conspire to ensure that no one can inflict harm without feeling its weight. Guilt, regret, and self-doubt become relentless companions, forcing the individual to confront the truth they've tried to avoid. This inner justice is often more powerful than any external punishment, as it attacks the very core of who a person is. The cruel are haunted by the memories of their actions, by the faces of those they've hurt, and by the growing awareness that they have compromised their own humanity. Accountability is not just about punishment, it is also an opportunity for transformation. It calls people to face what they've done, to take responsibility, and to make amends. For some, this reckoning can lead to redemption. It is a painful process, but it offers the chance to rebuild, to become better, and to live in alignment with values that bring peace rather than torment. However, those who resist accountability, who continue down the path of cruelty, find themselves caught in an ever-tightening web of consequences. Life demands balance, and when a person refuses to restore it willingly, the correction comes in ways they cannot control. It may take the form of unexpected losses, profound loneliness, or the disintegration of the very things they once valued most. Justice and accountability are inescapable truths. They remind us that no one is above the law of cause and effect, and that cruelty is a choice with profound repercussions. For those who harm others, the path forward will always lead back to the harm they've caused. But for those who recognize this truth, who choose to act with compassion and integrity, life offers a reward far greater than fleeting power or satisfaction, the peace that comes from living rightly and the freedom from the burdens that cruelty inevitably brings. In the end, cruelty is a path that leads only to destruction of relationships, of peace, and of the soul itself. No one escapes the consequences of their actions, and the burden of harm inflicted on others will always return to confront its source. Life demands accountability, and justice, whether external or internal, will prevail. The message is clear: choose kindness even when it feels like the harder path. Build a legacy of compassion, not one of regret. The strength of a person is not in their ability to dominate or harm, but in their capacity to uplift and heal. Remember, every action you take shapes not only the world around you, but the person you become. Let your actions reflect the best within you so that when life's reckoning arrives, you can face it with peace, knowing you chose the path of truth and integrity. The cruelty of others may haunt them, but your kindness will set you free.